Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Tactical Baby Gear Podcast. My name is Beav Brody. In this episode, Alex and I talk about his unfortunate circumstances through the holidays. We talk about New Year's resolutions, and if you even do New Year's resolutions. So that's an interesting thing to talk about. We also talk about some construction projects and the disasters that live inside of that. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Ew, happy 2020.
Happy New Year.
New year, new decade.
You know, it's funny,
Not
I
new
saw
me.
somebody saying something about everyone talking about a new decade, but is it really? Because it's
It's
like
I've heard that argument.
2010 to 2019. 2020 is like the 10th year. So
It's like in the 10th year. So it's like, would we start the new decade on basically Jan 1 of 2021? Because you actually have to go through these 365
years. It's interesting, right?
Whatever.
MKBHD, Marquez Brownlee, he put out like a tweet or something, and it was like, there's those who think 2020 is the start of a new decade, and then those who are wrong, or something like that.
Yeah, do you get caught up on a lot of the like calendar dates as it relates to something like a new decade, or you're like, that's
Hell
the
no.
best decade ever?
No, not really. I mean, yes. I mean, there's like eras that I'm like, the 80s or the 90s, like, there was so much fun, or like you can equate things to like.
We'll use it as a point of reference, but what I'm saying is like, are you be like, I'm gonna, I'm gonna start exercising.
No,
because it's a new decade. You're like,
I don't wait. I don't really do New Year's resolutions. There's things. It's a good time to start something new. It's really, I mean, a lot of times there's a good reason to start something new. It's like you've gotten through Christmas and New Year's and all these holidays and time's off and schedule just all out of whack.
Yeah.
And then finally you're like, you get through the New Year's and you're like, all right, we get back on a normal schedule and a normal track, and you've had time to kind of reflect, over those like 2 weeks of like screwed up schedule. You've had time to reflect and like, how can I improve? Numbers start coming in, or this or that. And there's just a lot of things that happen at the end of the year that make you think like, wow, what am I going to change for next year? So I get that side of it, but like, I'm not going to wait for a Monday or the 1st or the something to do something. If I'm just like mentally prepared for it and it's like Wednesday, I'm just going to start Wednesday on the 13th Wednesday or whatever. And
yeah, I've never been big on the New Year's resolutions as well, though. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. I was like, oh, let me try to just kind of reflect on something that's very tangible to be able to follow through on. And one of them was basically like, it's hard to kind of, it's so simple to explain, but it's kind of what words to use to explain it. But in short, it was like, if something was going to take me like 5 seconds or less kind of concept, I'm just going to do it in that exact moment. So a good example would be, I'm walking, I put my coffee mug in the sink. Well, no, I'm going to just clean it out and put it on the side of the sink. You know what I mean? I'm going to take that 5 seconds just so I don't have to deal with it later. You kick your shoes off when you get in the house. You just put them when they need to go, so you don't have to trip over them. Yeah. So it's those little things, and I've pretty much done that every year because I've been able to kind of follow through on it. But it's like almost like, all right, keep this going, and can I expand on it a little bit more? So if something's going to take me like a minute, do I just kind of do that? And with kids, it's been especially important for me because it'll be like, even just something like we've had, a photograph on the side of the wall for 3 months, and it needs to be hung. And at the end of the day, I don't want to, like, I'm tired. I want to have 4 seconds with the wife. Like, I don't want to hang a photo. Yeah, I was like, you know what? Like, if I got to stop and just do it so it can just get done. So I've been trying to reflect on that sort of, I'll call it a New Year's resolution. It's gotten bigger every year. And so it's kind of continue to push that forward. So it's like, you know what? Like, if I stop and take 5 minutes to hang this photo right now, I won't have to stare at it. It won't annoy me. I'm going to take 5 minutes and just do it because it's 5 minutes. It's not, it's not talking about like, an hour. I'm going to repaint the room today. And I think a lot of people try to do that, right? It's like, like you've never been healthy. You eat poorly. You've never cooked. And like your New Year's resolution is like, I'm going to get fit and I'm going to start cooking. It's like,
this month. Like,
let's break this off in smaller bites. You know what I mean? Why don't you just start exercising?
Yeah.
Or something,
Well, you weren't part of the last podcast, but last week's podcast, with the guys from Pulseology. We talked about that exactly. It was like set little micro goals. Like, yes, it's great to have like
goals.
We just got the transcripts back for this thing so we could give you guys text on the screen with these. And we were talking about micro goals, and it brought it up as Mike Rowe.
He's the Dirty Jobs guy, right?
Dirty Jobs guy, yeah.
He seems like a cool guy. I'd love to have him on the podcast.
You know what? That'd be a good idea. We have connection to him too through Dan at Combat Flags. Dan, you've been big part of the podcast here lately. You were mentioned in the last episode as well. But they did the micro thing on Dan at Combat Flags. The whole like special thing. It was really, really cool.
No, he just seems like he gets it. But anyways,
yeah. So
small goals,
micro goals, to get to an end goal. But like you can't just have this
grandiose
unless you're super, super, super self-motivated and like you just like.
So like my brother-in-law can literally like he'll gain 20 pounds and then all of a sudden he'll be like cold turkey and be like, all right, I'm eating salads for like every day now and I'm exercising. I'm like, it's like a robot. And he it's like he installs a new program and boom. Yeah. It's
software
incredible.
Update.
Exactly. It's incredible to watch. I mean, it can be annoying at times, but it's incredible to watch someone like that. And you're just like, how are you just have that much mental
some people are like that.
Brandy's dad is
or
like something. That. It's just like, you're just like, you know what? Today I'm going to learn a foreign language, and you just start learning a language. It's like,
I got a funny story for you. Brandy's dad is like that. So we took him to the hospital a few years ago. He's got diabetes and issues with his feet, kind of common issues there, but it was like reoccurring issues. So we take him to the hospital one day. He was having some surgery or something. So we go to check on him, or actually this is before the surgery, but the doctor starts asking him questions. I think we had to drive him there because he couldn't drive because of his feet. Anyways, the doctor's asking him, this and that, and do you smoke? And he's like, no. And Brady's like, yeah, you do. And he's like, no, I don't. I quit last night. I don't smoke anymore. I don't smoke. And like, hasn't smoked since.
Oh, really? It's you smoking yesterday, Dad. It's like, but today I don't.
And like, that's how he is. Like, no.
But that's sort of like a kid. You'd be like, you do that? I'm like, not anymore.
Like, so no, the answer is no, I don't smoke.
It's like, well,
anymore.
Well, to me, it's more like the food, right? You're like, you loved the chicken last night. And you're like, well, that was last night, Dad. I hate it today.
I don't like
you're like,
pizza now.
What are you talking about? It's pizza. Well, I don't like pepperoni on my pizza now. And you're like, but last weekend you ate a whole pizza.
If your cousin was here and ordered a pizza, you'd eat pizza.
Kendall. Oh, man.
But yeah, setting those micro goals was what we talked about. It's very hard to set like that finish line goal because you feel like it takes so long to get there, especially in fitness. I mean, like that's just a lifestyle change and a life journey to like get to a place.
You can't just say that I'm going to lose 20 pounds. It's like, let's just start to lose weight.
Let's go for 5 pounds.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden that happens and you don't even realize it. You're like, oh, that was easy. You're like, let's go for another 5 pounds. Yeah. And then you do that a few times and all of a sudden you're like, shit, I just hit my 20-pound goal. But if you were like, I want to lose 20 pounds and you're like, I've only lost 3 pounds. I'm never going to get there. I've only lost 5 pounds. There's no way I'm going to make another 15. Like little bite-sized pieces, I think is the way to go. But yeah, I've never been big on New Year's resolutions per se. I don't really try to wait. But this, but it's so funny though, because it's kind of different. It's different for business for us because it's like the year ends, numbers roll in, like, all right, what are our goals for next year? What do we want to try to accomplish? What do we want to improve on? What could we do better? That kind of stuff. My goal this year is to simplify my life. Like it has just, the past 12 months have been just chaos in a way.
Controlled chaos for all of us.
Semi-controlled, and like there's just been so many moving parts and trying to do too many things. Therefore, a lot of things weren't getting done at a standard that I would like. And so nothing really got accomplished as like a tangible, like that happened.
Yeah.
Very few things like that happened. So my goal for this year is just like simplify, like micro thing, like one thing, let's get it done. Another thing, get it done. Another thing, get it done.
Well, it's like I've been approaching that too with obviously we moved in y'all moved in the new office and everything else, but it's like we've been moving around offices on the other side, and it's like kind of that thing like I like to use glass boards when I write for everyone listening. Like I kind of like the brain dump on and see it visually. I'm not
it's
one
like a dry erase board.
I gotta kind of write it out. I don't do as well if I like type it out.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way my brain works. But I've had one laying against that wall for, like 3 weeks now. And finally yesterday I was like, I got other stuff to do, but I'm like, you gotta, like, at some point you just have to stop and do. So chip away a little thing here and a little thing here, and it just keeps. You got to build on that momentum, and then hopefully carry that forward and continue on with that. But I don't know. I think I was trying to think of not necessarily a New Year's resolution, but something for the year. And again, I'm kind of on that same idea of refinement. We've talked about that with the business, but also personally trying to get rid of a lot of clutter as I prepare for, the fourth child to come into the world, the 4 under 4 that I will be experiencing come June. So for me, it's like, we got too much clutter and kids stuff everywhere. It's like, what do they actually kind of need? So there's diversity in playing, and we have enough kind of distractions and fun stuff in that regards, but also like we don't need 4 different cars to ride on in the garage that I'm tripping over, what I mean? So like, let's kind of clear out that space, which clears out the brain space. Let's clear out stuff in the house. Like, what things do we just not need to be doing and spending money on that's just kind of wasteful? Ridiculous, and while still enjoying life, but just like, how do we just simplify, refine it, and just try to get in the right mental capacity to
tough, man.
Continue with all the kids. I mean, it's been crazy for me. So the pregnant wife got the flu over Christmas, so that was especially challenging and concerning. So obviously when you're pregnant, you can't take all. I mean, and she got the flu shot. She got all these things, which I think helped. But I mean, there's nothing you can really do for it. You're allowed Tamiflu, but we weren't sure if she had a virus or the flu. And the less drugs you can take when you're pregnant, the better anyway. So it's like we didn't want to just rush to kind of take Tamiflu. But otherwise, like, you can take some Tylenol to ease with some head pressure. But it, for us, it's like, all right, where's the Dayquil? Where's the NyQuil? Where's the Afrin? Let's just load our bodies up to try to mask all the symptoms and the pain and kind of try to grin it and bear it, right? Mm-hmm. But with drugs, when you're pregnant, you just have to just suck it up, and you're just miserable. And it was like 7 days of just like,
which meant you guys were trying to like isolate her.
So like, I'm trying to isolate her because it's like I don't need all the little ones to get the flu if we can avoid it, myself included, because then it just becomes a nightmare of taking care of everyone. And the last thing you want is like a pregnant woman, to have a high fever and everything else, because it's very dangerous for the baby. But then, if your little ones get it, like, that's just a whole nother stress level. It's like, there's nothing worse than seeing your kids like just laid up with their droopy eyes and 102.3 fever, and you're like, all right, at what point do we need to take you to the hospital? How much, are you old enough to have ibuprofen, or am I giving an infant Tylenol? And then the infant's got 104 fever, and you're like, oh my God, it's just the stresses that come with that.
Awful.
So that was my Christmas. So she's got the flu. So Christmas Eve, I took 3 kids to church. That was an experience. Talk about like, all right, you're trying to go to church, but the whole time beforehand, the pastor, the priest would probably just be like, you need to
You're
come
going
to church.
hell.
And I was like, get in the car, sit down,
it's
do
stressful,
this.
man.
Oh,
like,
man.
I grew up going to church too. My mom ran a church. She was a director of administration for the church we went to for like my entire life. So like, I grew up in this church. Like, when I was homesick from school, I didn't get to stay home. I went to the church and like folded mail, stuffed envelopes, and mailed them out. Like, I was working at the church. So it was like, so I spent my whole life in the church. But like Sunday mornings now, it's with the kids. I don't really go to church very often because it's so stressful. Like, Sunday is the only day I really get to like try to relax, do nothing, check things off around the house. I got things to do. The last thing I want to do is get up Sunday morning and start like fighting with the kids. Like, get your clothes on, brush your hair, brush your teeth. Where's your shoes at? We got to get in the car. We're late. We got to go. Like, I don't want that.
Oh, that was me Christmas Eve.
It's the worst. It's not fun.
Well, no,
anybody.
like, I thought I was like, just Captain America dad here, right? So wife's upstairs in bed. I've got the kids. I finally got them to put on their, kind of more Sunday best, go for Christmas Eve. and it's like it's 4:00 is when the service started, so it's like 3:15. I'm like, I got this. Like, we get shoes on. We're gonna leave here by like 3:20, so I can get to the church at like 3:30, 3:35 because it's Christmas Eve, and apparently,
parking's gonna be an issue.
Like, everyone comes out of the woodworks. All of a sudden, they're like, "Oh yeah, Jesus, Christmas," and so I was like, "This is perfect. Like, I'm not gonna stress about parking. Like, I'll be able to get in." I'll be able to get them into the at least the little one into the little nursery. The boys like to see the people singing and playing instruments, so I was gonna do that and then put them in the nurseries. I can't find the Joker shoes. Nico, Nico, I'm like, where's your church shoes? Where'd they go? Like, they were here.
They were right here.
Now they're gone. And I destroy the like laundry room looking for flipping boxes. Like, the wife comes down from hearing me upstairs just hollering, like, not almost at the kids, but like, it's like, where are these shoes?
She's like, what is going on down here?
She's like, what? I'm like, go back upstairs. I don't need to get the flu. Like, And so I'm like, finally, like, we're going with tennis shoes. Like, God doesn't care. Like, let's just try to get there, and I'll say some prayers on the way to repent for my sins of anger here. Next morning, I go to open the fridge. Kid put the shoes in the fridge because they think the fridge in the laundry room is like they pretend. I've come to find out now, they think it's like a laundry. So like, I turned the water, like, we had a fridge that has like the door with the water. Like, I turned that off since we don't use that one for water. And so they stuffed the shoes up under it for the washer machine. And then they open the fridge to put the shoes in for the dryer. So I open it up and there's like some Bud Light, and then there's the kids' shoes.
That's hilarious.
And I was like, I felt vindicated though. I was like, because of course the wife, even in pregnancy mode, is probably like, are you using your man eyes to look for this? Like, do I need to come down there and search for things? And I'm like, I got this. I swear, we're getting to church. We're doing this. And now this is like day probably 4. I've had the kid. I basically took off and was watching the kids. But yeah, I think it was like day 4 or something. And then like, to stage this up, like, it had been raining like every day.
That's true. It was like raining for
so it was like, like, what am I gonna do with these kids? It's raining. Like, it's kind of cold. I'll put on rain boots and a jacket, but I don't like, let's hang out for 30 minutes and play in the rain. But like, I don't really want them to get damp and wet and cold and then deal with that. It was just like, so we're cooped up. There's so many forts Dad can build, you know what I mean? There's only so many times I can watch them just beat up on the little one. And so it's like, we're going to church. We're going to do this. And of course, she's up there being like, you're probably using your man eyes. Do I need to come down there? I'm like, I got this. But so anyways, the next day, and I opened it and they're in the fridge and she happened to be there. I was like, thank you, Jesus. Like,
sweet baby Jesus.
Yeah, I found the shoes. Why are they in the fridge? Let's talk about that next. But we found the shoes. So anyways, we made it. Everyone survived.
But did you die?
We came home, had a little meal. My in-laws came over just to kind of help me because the wife was in bed. And woke up and then tried to do Christmas. Yeah, a little bit of toys for the children. Survived that. Took the kids by solo to my in-laws, and they have like extended family over. So it's like me watching, 3 little people
kids
with like 40 people running around, which it's almost scarier because like they're so comfortable at their grandparents' house that it's like, and they have a pool and we've got a big fire going on, so it's like they know not to touch the fire. So I'm not worried about them like touching it's the oldest ones touching the fire, but you're also like, all the kids are playing. So it's like, it's more like someone gets just pushed and then they're around the fire. You know what I mean? So it's more those concerns, like everyone's comfortable. So everyone thinks everyone's watching the kids, but then no one's watching the kids. So it's like one of those scenarios that everyone can relate to. So it's like, all right, where's this one? Who's this? You get the little ones, they're playing nicely, but the 7-year-old isn't a babysitter. The 7-year-old is an entertainer, So we survived that, and then moved on to New Year's and was in bed by 9:30.
I was not in bed at 9:30 at New Year's. We had a little shindig at my house. We threw down. Kids stayed up late. Same scenario, a bunch of it's like, hey, we're having a party at the house. All the kids are welcome, because most of it's like it's hard to find people to watch kids, and it was kind of last minute. And so anyways, but a bunch of kids showed up at the house, and the same thing. It's like there's enough adults around and the kids are all playing. So you think everyone's watching the kids, but really no one's really watching the kids because everyone thinks everyone else. But thankfully I've got a good group of friends, and everyone kind of is just, it's like takes the village, right? Like everyone's keeping a close enough eye on like what's happening in their area.
They're not completely just zoned out.
Yeah. So, but the same thing. It's like fires going.
Well, but they're all kind of, they're all parents of ages of kids that you kind of aware of, as opposed to like, you're dealing with like aunts and uncles and stuff, where it's like, I mean, they moved on. You know, they had kids 40 years ago.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. I mean, all my buddies have, 5-year-old plus. There's a couple little ones, but they were like pack and play, sleeping in my bedroom. So it's like, no big deal there. But
we were down for the count.
We had a good time. It was cool. We got to break in the new deck with like the first big party. So that was cool. That was fun.
Survived. It didn't collapse.
No, everyone was downstairs underneath. We had the heaters going and the fire going, and the drinks were flowing, and Brandy got next level. A couple times a year, Brandy turns into drinking a little too much tequila.
Been there.
The most entertaining thing. It's a little embarrassing for me at times, but it's fun. It's fun. But I tucked her in about 10:30 at night.
Ooh.
Which is about an hour past everyone's bet. Like, I bet she's in bed by 9:30. But that was cool. That was fun.
Don't miss those morning afters.
I felt like $1 million. I think I had 3 beers the whole night.
Right. I can't drink anymore. Like I enjoy a beer. I enjoy 2 beers. Like I'll enjoy a night. Like I think I had at like 8:30 I was drinking some scotch because I felt sophisticated. Had this like high end scotch that someone got me for it. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna drink that. I'm not really a scotch guy. I like my bourbon, but it worked. Yeah. And then I was like, at 9:30, I had like one strong drink. I'm good.
The look you gave me when I was like, "Hey man, you coming over to party tonight?" You're like, "I'm like, yeah, I know."
I mean, I'd love to have. I'd love to have the. I'll have a life in like 5 years when this next one.
Yeah.
Actually, we were talking about that. I was like, at what age do we like? It's like if the kids want to attempt to stay up, do we just kind of say screw it?
Yeah.
Try, but
yeah, usually the when you kind of give up on that and like you let them try, they're like a bed at a normal time anyways because they just can't hang.
Yeah.
Like maybe an extra 30 or 45 minutes and then they're like passed out.
Well,
they're so focused on trying to stay awake.
So my kids have been doing we've started moving a little bit out of the night terrace, thankfully. And then they just started kind of goofing off and we kind of had to go full on teacher mode on them. And it was like, we had one night where the kids just woke up at 3:00 and they were like playing. I was like, no, we're putting this to bed right now. Like you don't do this. Next night we separated them, and we're talking about the twins, and they have a special connection, like they really do. So like separating them was almost traumatic for them, but they're gonna survive. You know what I mean? We separated them at nap time, so it's not so crazy. But like that kind of like it was almost like they needed a hard reset, and so they've been doing a lot better, like actually sleeping through the night again because they're the good sleepers. Anders, the youngest one, he's almost 2 now. He's never been a great sleeper, but the twins have always been. So with like they're waking up, it's like no, like we're gonna deal with that in like 6 months here. I don't need to start this gig early. This getting up throughout the entire night. So we finally reset them, but
reset. We keep talking about ourselves like we're computers. Like we need updates and
kids they need that reset though. You know what I mean? It's kind of like sometimes you got to snap. You got to like tap them on the head to get their attention. Like they just need to be snapped back to reality. So
Control Alt Delete.
So thankfully, like we kind of like reset them on getting kind of back in the like the groove of not just waking up and everything else. But it's been crazy. So they've been skipping their nap, and then it's like as it's like like you talk to someone without kids or even like a grandparent that's been a little out. It's like, we'll let them stay up till 10:00. It's it's the summer. Like they'll just sleep in. You're like, no, like you put that kid to bed at 10:00, he'll be up at 5. If his normal bedtime is 8, and he wakes up normally at 7 and he sleeps in, or he goes to bed 2 hours later, he's getting 2 hours earlier. It's like the exact opposite for children.
Yeah.
So it's like they've been skipping the naps. So it's like if we try to put them to bed at a regular time because they still kind of need that afternoon nap, like it's like they were waking up earlier. So now it's like, all right, now we got to put them to bed a little bit earlier. And that's been helping with those nighttime terrors. But I was curious if your kids are at that age where if they go to bed at midnight, if they made it, do they sleep in, or are they kind of that same sort of like?
It's.
I know some parents listening can relate.
Yeah.
It's like you're like, I want to go out, and then you're like, we got to leave, and then it's like you leave an hour later from that party, and you just like the whole drive home, you're like,
why did I do this? Yeah.
The kid's now snoozing, which means his nighttime's going to be all messed up, and I'm going to have to pay for it in the morning.
Yeah. My kids aren't too bad, though. I mean, it's so funny because those days, the stuff you're talking about right now, you will forget about. Like, I can't remember. Like I recalled maybe a few instances where it's been an issue, but like right now, they're old enough to like where they get up in the morning and they get up early. Like they don't really wake us up anymore. They just like make themselves a bowl of cereal and turn on the TV or the iPad, and it's 6:30 in the morning or 7 in the morning or whatever time it is. And like, I just wake up on a Sunday at 8 a.m. and like they've been up for 2 hours doing who knows what, but they're just eating cereal and watching cartoons or something. Yeah. Like, okay, cool. So it's all, I sometimes I almost don't know what time they get up, but lately they've been sleeping in since they've been on this winter break, which I've got to get them back on a schedule. Like I need to
tonight.
Yeah. Like tonight, like, oh God, they start school on Monday. Like,
is it Monday or Tuesday?
Monday, I think. I don't know. I don't know school schedules. Go ask Brandy. Brandy.
We got another week.
Anyways, but they start school again next week, and it's like, crap, I need to get you guys back on the right schedule here. Yeah. But it's been fun. It's been fun 2 weeks for them.
That's the one thing.
Chaos for us because, as you know, it's frustrating, this is the busiest time of year for us, or, it was. It's kind of slowed down now, but like, the busiest time of year for us, we're trying to keep the wheels on the bus here and make sure everybody's getting their product and we're delivering the right message and we're marketing and advertising, doing things we need to do as a business. But then the kids are out of school and, your wife wants to make sure everybody's going to see Santa and do all these things, and you need to leave early, and there's this other Christmas party to go to, and there's this and there's that, and like, so it's like you're like everything's trying to force you to not work while you need to be working, and all. It's so frustrating. But I enjoy the time I spend with the kids and the family doing those things. It's just I'm just never mentally prepared for any of that, and I'm like, why? But yeah. I don't know. I'm just ready for them to be back in school, get back to all the normal schedules. All the New Year stuff is over. The holiday nonsense is over. And like, we can just focus on getting on with it.
Yeah, I was kidding around. I was very serious though. We have a wonderful daycare that we send our kids to, but it's definitely not sort of like the daycare for the like working parents. Because there isn't that flexibility of like, oh, I got to work an extra hour. It's like, no, like if you don't pick your kid up at 12:30, like,
it's almost like it's like a part-time daycare. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But that's the trade-off we've done, and thankfully my wife has willing to do that. But it's like, I was kidding around. I was like, man, but the boys are starting to really develop very rapidly. And so it's like they almost need structure for like the 5 days and not just kind of like 3 days. And so I was like, all right, so can we send them to the other school that goes 5 days a week? Yeah. Like, can we, this was like literally like their winter break started. And I was like, can we go do like a visit at this school and like start them this spring,
Yeah.
She's like, you don't want to switch them like mid-year. I'm like, but like they need to be in school for 5 days. Like it's the only way you and I are gonna get anything accomplished. So I'm like so excited for this year to be like fall to start. Because I don't care how much it costs. I'm gonna send them somewhere where they are there 5 days a week because we're gonna have a newborn.
Mm-hmm.
And
it'll be good for them. And that's when they'll get to start to really develop a lot of friendships with friends that ideally they become lifelong friends with. I mean, think about all the friends that you and I had when you came a little older. But a lot of the kids I was in preschool and kindergarten with are some of my best friends still today. And like a lot of them still live here. And you and I have known each other since first, second grade. Like, it's cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So those are the days that they'll get to develop some of those lifelong friendships when they get to those play. Like, not that they couldn't do that now,
but still, yeah. I mean,
there's just more opportunity for, like, there's more kids there. There's more, you know. But
so we're kind of looking at that. Excited though.
It's good though. It's so good for the parents. Like, there's times where you almost feel guilty about the fact that you're sending your kid off somewhere and you're like, I just need me time. So, like, I'm putting them in daycare like longer than they need to be. Or like, there was times where, like, our daycare was like pick up by 6:15 p.m. and I'd wrap up with work at 4:30 or 5, and you're like, I should go get my kid from daycare. You're like, but they could be there for another hour, so I'm going to take advantage of that, and I'm going to do nothing for an hour, and then I'll go pick them up because I need that for me. And it's totally fine to be selfish like that, and it's not crazy for you to think like, I need to send them away for 5 days a week all day because I've got things to get done, and you're not a terrible parent for that. You know what I mean? And I think
we're talking about, I think this pickup is at 2
at this other
yeah.
Well, that's not bad. Yeah.
No. So the biggest thing though is the littlest one, we got a potty train before that. So I got a potty train. So it'll be 2 in March. So I got a potty train Anders between now and August, which shouldn't be an issue because he's got the older brothers. That should be good. So I got to potty train him. And I got to change his crib to one that he can actually get out of. So and then I got to take off the nighttime diapers for the older ones. So we've got you've got a lot to accomplish. A lot to accomplish here before June, really, because that's when the fourth one's going to come. So, like, I want to sleep through the night, but I'm like, I'm going to be doing a lot of sheets. They're getting good though. Yeah, boys are getting good with the.
What sucks is a lot of that. Some of that stuff is like, you just can't force some of that stuff either. Like, it's going to happen when it happens. Like, it's so hard to force those things. It's not like I'm going to potty train him tomorrow. Like, no, you're not.
Yeah, and now if they ain't ready, it's going to be more miserable than it needs to be.
Yeah,
I mean, you got to push them at some stage, but like,
for sure. But like, don't not being 2
yet. But thankfully, he's a lot more.
You're saying smarter than the other ones. He's going to develop some of those skills faster because he's seeing it happen. And
it was kind of like the riding of, like, we got him bikes with, we tried to do the balance bikes, and my boys just hated it. They got on it and they're like, nah, screw this. So I was like, you know what, let's just go conventional training wheels. And like, they're getting that. And we see, like, the youngest is like, watching them. So he's going to be, he'll be biking without training wheels by the time he's 3, when my boys are almost, they'll be 3.5 and they're doing the training wheels, so. Yeah. You just move along a lot faster when you got the older ones.
Yep.
But yeah, we got a lot of things to accomplish here in the next 6 months.
God bless you.
Yeah, so we converted the boys into kind of like that half crib bed where they can get in and out, but it's still their crib.
Open side.
But they're getting big enough now too, so it's like I got to put them in like the twin beds, A lot of changes. And I still don't know where I'm going to put this fourth kid in my house.
Gosh.
So that should be fun.
You have a knack for doing construction projects when with babies coming.
It's always been out of necessity. I mean, so we were living in Charlotte when the twins were born, and I had nowhere to put them. So I converted my garage into like
big bedroom.
Because we just didn't have the extra space.
And then I drug you back down here.
Yeah, and then we came back here.
It's like you finished that project.
I finished the project, and then I moved like 3 months later.
And the kids, you didn't even have the kids yet, did you?
No, we did. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So they were in there for like
3 months.
Yeah.
About 3 months.
And then
let's see. They were born in May, and we moved in September.
Did that add to the sellable square footage of your house? By having an extra bedroom?
Yes, but then we didn't have a garage. But like, thankfully in Charlotte, well, there's a lot of places in the U.S. where like having a garage isn't as common as it is, at least on Hilton Head.
Well, yeah, but I mean, a lot of people end up using their garage for storage and stuff, and they're never parking it anyways. Like, that was the case for me in my old house for a long time.
Yeah, so like, it wasn't uncommon, but like, the people trying to buy the house were trying to use like, oh, well, you don't have it. And I'm like, but you have another bedroom. So you
had like a You got really clever with the garage situation because you still had a garage door.
Yeah,
And it opened enough, but it was only, I mean, it was like
3 feet deep.
3-4 feet deep.
So you could still store like your lawnmower and all
lawnmower.
these things in it, and then you just pulled it up and shut it down.
Yeah, you got super clever with that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a fun little project. But yeah, again, like you said, she was pregnant with twins. And
then you come back here.
I came here, we moved here in September, moved back. Then we had to go back up to Charlotte in January.
God, I forgot about that.
Because so the wife was teaching at UNCC, so she's taught Spanish at the university there, and they were awesome. Like she wasn't necessarily bedridden, but she needed to get off her feet. She's a very small person with twins. It's just no more space. So they were concerned, obviously, that her being up on her feet, teaching everything else. So the university let her take leave come like March, and the kids were born in May. So they took leave in March, but she got paid all the way from like March and all the way through that summer. And then she had a semester of paid maternity leave. Based on the calendar cycle, that meant it was the fall semester. So she was off in March and didn't have to go back until January. So that was awesome. So we had to pay, obviously, all the coverage and everything else through the university. But we missed the cutoff for fully vesting for her by like a week. So she had to work a full semester to get her like 5 years of benefits that she had worked for.
Right.
So
you guys went back up there for
we
a semester.
Airbnb'd for like 3 months.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was
just hiked the kids back and forth from Charlotte to Hilton.
Forgot about that. Meanwhile, and then you started another construction project, and you guys like finished out that bonus room attic area into like.
No, that was the next. Well, so with those kids, with the twins, we did like built out a laundry room and everything else, and moved. While having the construction at the house in Charlotte. Then Anders, or what I thought was going to be my one and only surprise child, we decided to do a kitchen remodel and build a bonus room because I was like, we need the space. Like, I need to be able to put the twins up and like give them a room to just destroy. So like, the wife can nurse and do whatever where she feels like they're contained. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they might be beating the crap out of each themselves, but at least they're contained. Yeah. So we did that during the last pregnancy, and then knock on wood, this pregnancy, I mean, haven't had any major. I've had thoughts on things to do. I'm concerned about the future prospects of bathrooms. Like I got 3 boys.
You need some urinals in your house.
No junk. I mean, thankfully we got trees in the backyard. It's just gonna be like, go outside, just find a tree. Take it back to nature. Take it back to nature. So no construction on plans for this one. Like I had ideas, but I'm just not going to execute on them.
You're not going to?
I don't want that headache. I don't want to open that can of worms. Because like with the twins, it was easy enough to be like during the I say easy enough during the remodel. Like thankfully, my in-laws had the space so we could move in there. The 2 extra bedrooms. So put the twins in ones there. We were there for like 2 weeks during like the major stuff, and it worked. Like trying to bring like a family of 5, it's just don't necessarily want to go there. We would if we had to, and thankfully they're wonderful. But
yeah.
Anyways, it's one thing. Like it's hard enough to get kids just out of the house sometimes. Like, let alone like then trying to move them in somewhere like temporarily for like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
you do what you gotta do, but like. I mean, even this morning, like some mornings, I don't know about you, but like, it's like, who are these magical beings that are in my home? Like they put their clothes on, they went to the bathroom, they got themselves in the car seat. It's like, I'm an amazing parent. I'm doing everything right. And then like,
the next day you want to choke them
the
out.
next day it's like
they put their shoes in the refrigerator and
like the next day you're like, why are we like what snapped? Like this morning it was like everything was running fine, and then all of a sudden it was like 7:45, just disaster.
Stuck on stupid.
Everyone just went downhill like at the same time, and I was like literally what is happening?
They're kids. That's life. That's a parent. Jeez.
It is something. So anyways, we are going to try to avoid construction projects this go round.
I don't blame you. I'm about over it. My whole construction situation, we started October 1st with the deck. So yeah, it was October 1st. It was supposed to be like a 4 to 6 week project. It's still not done. That turned into having to paint the house. They started painting the back of the house yesterday so I could look at the colors, which I think looks good. So they're going to continue on and so now I'm trying to keep the kids from touching wet paint outside last night because it's cold out. So the paint's taking like longer to dry.
Well, it's cold and it's humid.
Right. And I'm trying to keep the dog out of the wet paint. Oh, I'm like, can we just be done with? And like everyone gets to like the very end, and like there's all these little things to do, and I'm like, hey, so you guys gonna come back and finish these few little things so we can wrap this up and be done? And they're like, next week. And I'm like, no, like tomorrow, please.
We're trying to do it during the holidays, like the punch out list, which is the stuff that no one wants to do. It's the 5 seconds to just do it.
It's the last 10% that's like so hard for people to finish. It's like the most important parts. It drives me nuts. But anyways, all right, I'm gonna wrap it up here. It's been a little while, and I'm running out of things to talk about. I don't know about you.
No, it's okay. You want to get to work.
Yeah. Guys, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. We're excited for 2020. I hope you guys are along for the ride. So make sure you like, subscribe, comment, review, all the things. We'll see you guys. I always say we see you guys in the next video, but like most of you guys listen. So I'll talk to you in the next episode.